That's smaller. It's not the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you moved this, where did it come from?
The what?
The silo. Where did it come from? Where was it
Oh,
made?
I bought it, brand new.
Where?
It was just west of Chicago. It's easy. I drove from Chicago in an art fair and packed everything into a Volkswagen van. It all went in there. It was incredible, in pieces, because see, it's two pieces.
Uh-huh.
And then it was different.
Do you know anybody else who uses it for a glass studio? Uses such a thing for a glass studio?
There must be, but I don't know. Actually,
It's brilliant.
there is. But I liked it. It was good. But the sound was wonderful when you hit a radio. But once when we had a big thunderstorm, or no, it wasn't a thunderstorm, it was worse than that. It was lightning and thunder. Yeah, it must have been a thunderstorm. And it was so loud, it made this... Oh, lightning struck in front of the building, I remember. And went up the front and through the front door and, went up the front and up to the gutter and across the front and then came down and went over and blew out all the little lights that we had here. And it had also come into the house through the window, side window here, and it followed the wire that was for the little walking lights that we had and blew the transformer for it apart and blew the two windows out of the bedroom. And I was in the dome, and I'm telling you, I must have jumped 5 feet. It was so loud, like a bomb had hit us. And I went in, you remember our dog Sparta?
Mm-hmm.
He was laying on this kind of raised bed with his head hanging down. He always slept like that. And I walked in and there he was, sound asleep. And it didn't bother him. He didn't wake up, nothing happened to him. And this is the final chapter.
You think your junk represents your final chapter?
No. I'll have something to moan and complain about. That's what's important. So, yeah, you put the cherry in there and just pop it.
And how's that other one work?
The other one, clamp to a table.
Uh-huh.
Put your cherries in here.
Yeah.
Boy, this stuff is ruining the whole effect. Okay, and you roll them into there 2 at a time, and you come down and go like that, and they have little prongs on them that pulls the cherries up, and the seed goes down.
And then you pull it off by hand?
No, it'll... I forget.
You have to get some cherries and find out.
Yeah.
Are next to you right here on this sitting here, are they these sock puppets?
Oh,
Where are they from?
they're from that sweet girl. She made those. And I took them downstairs and put them up here on the back of that thing, and I thought they'd feel better and stay better, especially this little guy.
They have names?
Yeah, this is Boeing. See, he has a little...
Oh, yeah.
He must be their youngest brother. And,
the other one's a princess.
yeah.
And then the other one is a Christmas one.
Yeah. And Joyce had him upstairs stuck in a corner. And I, I thought they would look good down here. And they'd make things look normal, like other people's houses. I did awful things. And
We don't need to start.
George, just be quiet. I'm going to tell him I'm on the roll now.
Tommy used to say, "Stop telling my kids this stuff. They're gonna think of things."
No, Halloween, we did some awful things, and the worst thing I ever did, I'm going to tell you now. There were victory gardens during the war, and we actually had 2 gardens. I was responsible. It was a big empty lot behind our apartment building. There was the alley, and then this big, we called a prairie. It was so big. And then there was this raised area where the Illinois Central train went past our house and went all the way to New Orleans and also to, I think, Miami. But big trains. And I know the engineer on one of them, his wife lived in the apartment building next to us. He would slow down as he came through and let the whistle go, letting her know he was going to be downtown Chicago. He'd come down, then he'd have to take, streetcar or something home. But anyway, we had these 2 big fields, and there was we had squash and tomatoes out there, and then in the front we had all the other vegetables that Mom could come. We were on the first floor. And right next to the alley, she could come out and get things and bring in and use for cooking. Well, summer's starting to get over. And we'd picked all the tomatoes that we were going to pick. And there were lots of tomatoes still on the plants out in the far garden. And I was talking to Billy. Billy's the guy that I do all kinds of wild things with. And he said, I'm sick and tired of knocking garbage. What we would do, and it was kind of dangerous because we could easily get caught. On a 3-story apartment building with the back door, there was a porch, a wooden open porch. And then it had a turn about halfway between each landing. We would go up to the top floor, take that garbage can, open the lid, and tip it over so it would be bouncing down the stairs, and then run down behind it. Someone could easily have come out of one of those other apartments and nailed us. And then we'd get to the point where it would bang around it, we'd be right with it, and it would bang against us, and then it would be coming after us down the steps, all the way down, and then run away. It was exciting, but it wasn't going to work. So we had to think of something else. Let's do something with the rotten tomatoes. So we need a bushel basket. So I don't know if I got it or he got it. We went it and we filled that sucker up. Each got a handle of it. We lived at 111th Street, and we walked to 115th? Yeah, 115th Street. Wow. When you got to that street, the conductor on the train, they would stop and the people would get out of the commuter train. It was a commuter train that came by. Mm. And he would say, 115th Street, Bumtown. That was a nickname for it, going way back to the 1800s. Why, I don't know. It was called Bumtown. But anyway, we had this bushel basket full of rotten tomatoes. We were walking along the tracks to 115th, yeah, it was 115th Street. And
there was a viaduct that the cars and people could walk, sidewalks on both sides, and then a 2-lane road that ran underneath the viaduct on 115th, and it was fairly busy. Not climbed, but we were up there already. We walked and then looked over the end of the viaduct where the sidewalk was. And we wanted to catch someone coming from town, not going. So we went over to that sidewalk and looked down, and we thought, this is the one, we'll do it. But we got to be able to catch just right, because as they come out of the viaduct, we got to drop it a little bit before, so it'll nail them right there below us. This thing was heavy with, I mean, really something. If it was a woman or a small woman, it would have knocked her down. So I ran down, he held on to it, I ran down to the other end, and I could see this policeman coming on duty. And he was whistling. I always remember that. He was whistling, and he was just, I don't know, he felt good about himself. And you could see from there, the light, street light, his shoes were shiny. He was all polished, ready to go. He was going to go to the police station, which was down also on 115th, but off about 2 blocks. So he had to go there and then another 2 blocks. So I went down and I stayed there and watched him. And then I yelled he's coming now. And I waited till he got underneath, and then I ran across. Well, ran across and tried to, maybe I didn't, maybe I walked, because he was walking, but he was bigger than me. So I ran across, and I said, what we gotta do, as soon as we see his shiny shoe, let it go. And we waited for that shoe. He held one of them, and we had it all turned, and let it go. And then we didn't say, we took off running. We left the thing up there and ran to the other side, down, and went practically to where our elementary school was. And we said, it's maybe safe now. So we turned around and we just walked along on the same side of the street now as him. Like we hadn't done anything wrong. We had tried to wipe our hands in the weeds, I remember, the grass, and get our hands. We were, we had tomatoes. From picking all those tomatoes.
Jeez.
And we got up and we could see 2 people there. And as we approached, we said hi, and the guy turned. He was standing here, and he turned, and he looked at us like that, didn't say anything, and this little old lady was wiping him off. She had something, I don't know, Kleenexes or things, that was trying to clean him off, and he just stood there like this. He was paralyzed. And we said, what happened? And then didn't say a thing. And then we just walked away.
Oh my God.
Oh,
We laughed so much. We were so awful.
Oh,
I think about
Yeah,
what
he's
we
carrying on this legacy, huh?
did. We slept in the hull of a ship, and on one side. So when the ship rocked from side to side, we were on one side, and we were 4 high in bunks that were really maybe this far from your nose.
Oh.
So to turn over, your nose would rub against the guy's butt who was above you.
well, not the butt, but the bed.
Joyce, you weren't there.
The bed.
The bed, whatever, and you were sleeping, head to toe. His head was over there and my head here, and so on. There were 4 guys. Well, guess what? Everybody got sick. When you went down for breakfast in the morning, the guys who were dishing the stuff out were holding their mouths because they were throwing up in the food. That we had these stainless steel tables, and they were putting things, taking their tray over to the table, and the ship would go like this in the table, and all the food on would slide across and go onto the floor. It was a nightmare. And then when you went up on deck to get some fresh air, everyone was leaning over the side, holding on so they wouldn't fall in the water, throwing up. Everyone was sick. And guess what finally happened? Finally, there were only 2 people who weren't sick anymore. And I was one of them. Matter of fact, I didn't get sick at all. And this other guy there, who was from the south side of Chicago, same as me. And we had to clean the Johns the rest of the time through that thing. That was our job.
Why do you think you didn't get sick? What do you think it is about you? Was it from wrestling?
No, it didn't bother us.
Uh-huh.
The seasick stuff. But then they put us to work doing the dirtiest job. It was this for show, you know. And then I have one that I made special, and I made a big mistake. It kind of looked like a paddle. Well, it was a paddle.
Like a canoe
A handle for a paddle for like a canoe. Kind of came out like that, kind of oval. And I did the word education. I cut it out so you pick it up and you could see right through it. Big mistake, because the first time I used it.
Oh, you didn't use it.
I did too. I showed it to the kids the first day. You see this? If you goof off and we can't make any kind of an agreement and you won't stay after, can't stay after school, then it's going to be whack with this, okay? Boom.
Sounds good.
So you would see it.
But you gave him a choice, wasn't it?
Oh yeah,
After school or a whack?
whack. Yeah, I did that.
So they chose
Now wait a
the
second, I was on something else.
It didn't work.
Huh?
What happened to your paddle?
Oh, it broke. I still have it. It has a crack on it. It could only be used the very first time, and that was it. And the other one that was for show, and I had taken wood burner, you know, where you could burn designs into the wood, and I did a naked girl on my paddle.
To hang in your classroom?
No.
No way. No way.
His imagination.
No, probably did because they could get.
Tell me about your apron bib.
Well, he wears it to keep food from landing on his clothes.
Do you have different ones, or is that just the only one?
No, he wears that.
No, these are all bottles of wine.
Ah.
The labels of bottles of wine.
Ah.
Is that what it is?
Which,
Jeez, I forgot that.
You didn't know that, Joyce?
No, I haven't looked at it closely
And you
lately.
allowed me to buy it? Or I got it? But anyway.
Does Joyce do all your fashion choosing for you?
No, not
Are you
really.
kidding? He wears the same thing over and over again anymore.
Oh,
Just so he's warm.
What's your favorite thing that you own to wear? What's your if your go-to comfort clothing?
Go to.
Yeah, what is the thing you really love to wear?
They asked me.
Well, you've got all those favorite sweatshirts in there that you...
Oh yeah, but I haven't got to them. I have to dig them out. But I get stopped in the middle of it because I'm busy covering Joyce up because she's sleeping there. And then I gotta tell you this. You know, AARP, do you get it?
I do not yet, but
You don't get it?
not yet.
Well, in it, there's these elderly um, actresses who were actors. They don't use the word actress anymore, but were actors number of years ago. And Lily Tomlin is one of them. And she had a number of shows that she was in where she was a telephone operator. She had all these goofy things that she would do that were just wonderful, funny. She was one of my favorites. But when I was
In Detroit.
yeah, it was in, what's it?
It was in Detroit.
Okay,
She
yeah.
was part of the theater.
That's right. Lily was in the theater at the college, Wayne State College, good college. And I remember I would go in there a lot because I would eat lunch. And a couple times, well, more than a couple times, she would come or be there already, and I would sit at the table with her.
In the restaurant.
In the college restaurant. And I eventually got to be, she got to see me on campus, and she'd say hi to me, and etc. But she was in all these movies down the way.
What, do you think that was your closest brush with fame?
No.
You've had other brushes with fame?
Oh my gosh.
What other famous people have you met?
Well, in Chicago, there was Second City.
Yeah,
All those characters were on Second City, who then became part
oh
of that.
yeah,
What do you?
Saturday Night Live.
Saturday Night
Yeah.
Live.
yep. Saturday Night Live.
Uh-huh. Well, you're kind of famous.
Yeah.
You yourself.
No.
You're zip code famous. You're famous within this zip code.
Well, he's famous for his stories.
That's right. That's right.
I don't know
Yeah.
about famous, but
Yeah.
infamous.
Did you want to be famous?
He's
Growing up,
infamous.
Gilbert, did you want to be famous?
No, not necessarily. I hadn't really thought about it.
You're famous in my book.
Well, anyway.
Did you ever have any Valentine's celebrations when you were a kid?
Yes, we did. But primarily we did it around Christmas. We would do, in high school, it was the neatest thing. There was such a thing as called a high Y and a tri-high Y. The YMCA had, for teenagers, the boys would be the high Y guys, and the girls would be the tri-high girls. And then we would get together and have joint meetings with the girls. The boys' club would do it with the girls' club. And ours wasn't even, I didn't even go to the school who had the high Y. They were from somewhere around University of Chicago area, and the club was called Bradley. They were the Bradley boys who played with Tinker Toys, and they thought they were really something. But then something happened that the girls didn't want to go out anymore with the guys, and we had to recruit, and we had to figure out a way we could do it, and it was around Christmas. So what we did is we had a Eve of Christmas Eve. There would be all these Christmas Eve parties, but what we would do is do the day before, and we would call it the Eve of New Year's Eve. And we would collect Christmas trees that people threw out. Back then, you know, they had tinsel and all that crap on them. And people would just throw it out, and then they'd be picked up and hauled off and burned. So this friend donated his basement, and we clamped these, tied them to the metal posts in the basement. And then we used nothing but green lights. Everything was green in the basement. And we would have a dance down there. And it became the thing to go to. And then we recruited a lot of girls. But the real thing that recruited the girls was that when you were at a joint meeting, the cutest girls would always have somebody dancing with them. The ones who were a little overweight, maybe, or just were, you know, real cute, just average, they would sit during the whole joint meeting. Nothing would happen. So we put our heads together and decided that at every joint meeting, every guy has to dance with every single girl there. Everyone. And we would check on you. So you had to do it. What happened the first time was phenomenal, because the guys started to go and ask the girls to dance. And they had the time of their life. And can you imagine the next day in school, oops.
I get it.
Oh, you get it?
Yep.
When they went to school, and everyone wanted to know what happened the weekend, the most wonderful thing. We had the best dance. Everybody danced with us. It was the best joint meeting I've ever gone to. And that was it. We were king of the hill from that time on.
Because you were kind.
Absolutely. We learned a big lesson back then. Yep, it was wonderful.
Why do you?
This is a female.
And why?
You see the breasts? The breasts she has?
Yeah. And that's why you keep it nearby?
No. No, and I realized I had to dream to remember where I found her. She's from Chicago. There was a zoo on the south side of Chicago that had animals, a small zoo. And there was a table on this zoo.
Or in the cage. A
Yeah.
table in the cage, right.
Yeah, it was in the cage. And there was a glass window that went around it, because what this guy would do,
Or she.
yeah, she would go out and pee all over, come back in the room, run in, and all the pee would fly all over the place. And they had to put a glass window because it was making a mess out of everything.
And that's a picture of her?
Yeah, that's a picture of her. And I've got, I think, another one somewhere I could give you.
Oh, no, just show me that one. I want to see that one again.
Oh, okay. Well, that's the same one. I think I have
copy of that. Okay.
We'll just turn it around.
Turn it around so I
you
can see it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah.
Okay. Ready. See, and she was in charge of the table, and now she was, in a way, she wasn't chanting, but she was doing something.
Can you imitate? What was it like?
No, I'm going to show you. You're going to have to find it. You go up. You go, look. Take it, and look at the mouth. Take a close look at the mouth. Her mouth. What does she have in it?
A marble.
That's right. That was her pet marble.
Oh. Wow. And what did she do with the marble?
She just rolled it around in her mouth. And when she would sit up against the wall of the thing, when they finally put a glass window around because everyone was getting wet from her, that she would sit there with that marble in her mouth and turn around and her cheek against the window and roll the marble around. King like that. But, and then just enjoy herself.
Do you think she was very intelligent? Did she come across as being very intelligent?
I think she was. She wasn't the sweetest thing to look at, for a female. But she was tough. And the males were just big blobs. They had these pile of fat on them. And they weren't... I don't know if she was doing anything with her toes, if she had something down here.